What's going on, everybody? Matt here. So as you can see on the screen today, I'm going to be doing a Star Wars tier list. I'll be ranking all of the movies as well as the Mandalorian first season and Clone Wars final season. I won't be doing Rebels or Resistance, I think that's what it's called, because I haven't seen either of those, so obviously it's not fair for me to rate those or put them in the tier list. But I will be doing every single movie as well as the Mandalorian and Clone Wars final season. And before I start, I just want to say this is my opinion. You might have a totally different opinion, and that's great. Go ahead and leave that in the comments down below. But yeah, we're going to start by doing this in release order. So we're going to start with A New Hope. I think that's just the easiest way to do it, in my opinion. But A New Hope, fantastic movie. Still one of my favorite Star Wars movies. I think this movie really changed cinema and film forever, basically, when it came out in '77. And it just holds up so well, and I think every time I watch this, I still get just a feeling of epicness and just something bigger than life. And it's just so incredible they took that fantasy, or George took the fantasy element from storytelling and put it into space, and it just works so well. It's S tier for me. I just love watching this movie over and over again, and it's just so much fun. It's great, and it's S tier. And speaking of being great, possibly the greatest sequel to any movie of all time, The Empire Strikes Back. Now, there's not much for me to talk about that hasn't already been said. I mean, you should know, and everybody should know, how great The Empire Strikes Back is. I mean, like I said, it's a perfect sequel. It's a great sequel. It took everything I loved about A New Hope and just added so many different elements, adding amazing characters like Yoda, Lando, and the reveal of Darth Vader being Luke Skywalker's father is one of the greatest movie reveals, movie lines of all time. And honestly, ending on the note it did, how the film kind of just ends with more questions than answers, and just setting up the future film it's just amazing. It really is, and it's just so fantastic. It has to be S tier. So Return of the Jedi. This one might be a little bit higher on others' list, but for me, it's A tier. The reason for that is I don't love everything going on in Jabba's palace. It's alright, it's fun, but it's not the best. As well as Endor. I don't know. I didn't love the whole Ewoks versus the Stormtroopers. That kind of, for me, was kind of a letdown. It just kind of felt not as great as other things going on in the film. But I will say, everything going on with Luke, Vader, and Palpatine, some of the best Star Wars moments in history. My favorite lightsaber fight, and just that ending where Vader is redeemed in a way and he brings balance is just incredible. So for that reason, I'll put it A. Not S, not B, it's A. So next is The Phantom Menace. At times I really enjoy this movie, and at other times it's just bad. Like, there's great moments and there's also terrible moments in this movie. And I do think I enjoyed it a little more than I should, because it is not great. But it is the start of the prequel trilogy, and there's some highlighted moments in this film, but overall it's C tier. Qui-Gon Jinn's an amazing character. Darth Maul was pretty badass at the time. I mean, obviously they developed him more in Clone Wars. As a start, it's alright, but overall it's just meh. So I'm gonna put it in C tier. So unlike Empire, which was an amazing sequel, Attack of the Clones is, in my opinion, terrible. I'm sorry if you really enjoy this one, but I just don't enjoy this movie at all. I think there's just too much going on. The whole romance plot between Padme and Anakin, and the dialogue, it's just not great. I mean, there's some cool moments when all the Jedi show up with the clones. It's cool, but that's about all I take away from this movie. That's the coolest part. The rest I don't care for, and I don't care for this movie as a whole. So I gotta put it in D tier. Okay, this one's fairly easy. Episode 3. S tier. How could it not go in S tier? As a kid, I loved this one. I still love this one. It's just fantastic. I mean, it wraps up the prequel trilogy in an amazing way. And we finally see how Anakin, the Chosen One, becomes Darth Vader. How he kind of fell down. How he went down this path of darkness to become one of the most evil people, evil beings in the galaxy. And it's very tragic in that lightsaber fight at the end, and everything that just happens before the original trilogy, you just see it come to light, and it's a great movie. I mean, I know the prequel trilogy wasn't the greatest, it had its flaws, but this movie wrapped it up in a fantastic way. So after that movie came out, Star Wars took a break, and then Disney purchased it, and Episode 7, The Force Awakens came out, and I think it's a B tier movie. It's enjoyable, and yes, I know it's a copy and paste of A New Hope, but I still really enjoy this movie, and I think it's just something to look back on. I think you think about this movie and it's like, wow, it had potential to become something good. I think the sequel trilogy could have been some of the best Star Wars ever, but obviously that fell short for many of us. And I just look at this movie, I'm like, they set up so many great characters, and they just didn't do much with them, and that's kind of the problem with the sequel trilogy as a whole. But just looking at The Force Awakens, I enjoyed it. It's a fun Star Wars movie. It's B tier. So after The Force Awakens came out, the first standalone Star Wars movie, Rogue One. I really enjoyed this movie. It's A tier for me. I didn't think it was gonna work. When I heard about Rogue One, I was like, I don't know about this. And leaving the theater the first time, I enjoyed it. But on rewatches, and I've rewatched this many times, the more I rewatch it, the more I enjoy it. It's such a great movie that leads into A New Hope really well. I think that's something that they pulled off really well. Obviously, the Leia stuff at the end was just amazing, as well as the Darth Vader kind of hallway scene. Obviously, some of the coolest Darth Vader moments, maybe the best. I don't know. That's up for debate. But I really enjoyed this movie. I like how they took this story of, or took the idea of these rebels got the plans and put it into a movie. I think that was a great idea. Yes, I think there could have been a little more character development, or maybe just less characters in general. But overall, it's just such a fun movie. There's a lot of tension, a lot of stakes, and just seeing how they got the plans was entertaining as hell. And I would watch this movie any day. Oh, also the CGI on like the Star Destroyers and the Death Star. It looked fantastic. Even the X-Wings and all that, the ships. All the CGI and space battle, maybe my favorite space battle in Star Wars. I think the CGI looked great. It all looked great. A-tier movie. So now we got Episode 8. One of the most divisive films out of all of them, probably is. I'm going to put it in C tier. I don't hate this movie as much as others, nor do I love it like the Last Jedi lovers do. It's an alright Star Wars movie. I think it's better kind of as its own thing. Like if you took away the name Star Wars, or if you just took it away from the sequel trilogy, it would have been a lot better. But just because it was part of something bigger, I think that's the reason people don't like it as much. I do think they messed up on the character of Luke. They could have gone into better direction in my opinion. I do like the Rey stuff, the Kylo Ren stuff, but then I look at the Rose and Finn storyline, not a fan of that, nor do I really like what's going on with Poe and the whole Leia flying stuff. It doesn't sit well with me, but I do like the cinematography. I think it's just a well shot film. It's really beautiful. But as a story, it's just kind of there. Like I said, I don't hate it as some people do, nor do I love it. It's C tier for me. Solo is just kind of meh. It's good, but I don't care to watch it often. I watched it maybe once after seeing it in theaters, and I'm good. I don't have to watch this movie again and I'd be fine. The casting was really good. The story was alright, and that's about it. It's just meh. It's C tier. The Mandalorian. It's A tier. Jon Favreau, round of applause because this show is great. He did an amazing job with his show, as well as the directors and cast. You know, I didn't think this show would necessarily be as great as it was, but it's really good. I kind of like exploring this new side of Star Wars, something we didn't really spend much time on in the movies. I mean, obviously, it's all about the Jedi and the Resistance and the Rebels, and now we finally get to see the Mandalorian, or the Mandalorians, and Baby Yoda, obviously. And it's just a fun bounty hunter show, I guess, kind of like a Western, and I really enjoy it. And I'm really excited for the second season. Hopefully they can carry that same energy that the first one had. The Mandalorian just works so well on so many different levels. I'm just excited to see what this next season brings. So yes, Mandalorian, A tier. Okay, so I know Rise of Skywalker came out before the final season of the Clone Wars animated TV series, but I'm going to go with the final season next. Like I said, this is only the final season I'm talking about, not the rest, because I haven't seen the rest, but the final season alone, it's B tier. I really enjoyed the whole tie-in to episode 3 and Anakin's downfall and all that. And I like how they gave Maul a bigger role. I do want to watch the whole series eventually, but that final season alone was great. I really enjoyed it. I'm putting it B tier. Okay, so now we have the final film of the Skywalker saga, episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. It's D tier. I'm sorry, I did not enjoy this movie. And that's partly because The Last Jedi really didn't have a direction for this final movie. I mean, they set it up in a way where it's like, I don't know, there was nowhere to go really. I mean, in the first movie, Rey defeated Kylo, and in this movie they set up Kylo as the big bad, but Rey already beat him in a way, so it's like there was no excitement, so they had to bring back Palpatine, and that didn't work for me. Bringing back Palpatine felt cheap. It just felt like a money grab. I mean, that ruins Vader's arc. You know, he redeemed himself. He brought balance to the Force by destroying or killing Palpatine, but then he comes back because he's a clone now or something like that. I don't even think the writers know what the fuck's going on. But yeah, not a fan of this movie. The whole scavenger hunt plot of we have to find this, now find this, now find this. It felt, as someone else said, too video gamey. I couldn't connect with this film. I just couldn't. And for those people who did enjoy it, I'm glad you did. But for me, it just did not work. And for a conclusion, was not a fan. I think the whole Rey being a nobody from The Last Jedi, I actually like that, because it shows that you can get your powers from anyone. Anyone can have Force powers. Anyone can be strong in the Force. You don't have to be from some special family to have amazing powers, but they kind of corrected themselves and retconned themselves and made her a Palpatine. And for the final battle in the Skywalker saga, the Skywalker saga, they put a Palpatine versus a Palpatine. They did nothing. Kylo Ren could do nothing in that battle. They just pushed them down the hole, and then he comes back and saves Rey, which, I guess I like that. That was alright. But as a whole, no, not a fan of this movie. Not a fan. But overall, this is my tier list. As you can tell, I really like the OG trilogy and episode 3 and The Mandalorian and Rogue One. These are kind of my tops right here, and the rest, I enjoy them. Honestly, I enjoy almost every Star Wars movie, but these ones are my top. These are the ones I go to the most. But leave yours in the comments down below. Just kind of tell me maybe your favorite, why, or I don't know. Tell me something in the comments. But that's about it. If you guys did enjoy, please hit the like button. Subscribe. We are almost at 100 subs. We might be right now. Who knows? But yeah, like, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.